Hello and welcome. Today we're here to discuss a fundamental change to our planet. We're talking about a shift so profound it's being called a new chapter in Earth's history.
Just let that sink in for a second. We, a single species, have become a force of nature. Our activities now rival, and sometimes even exceed, the massive planetary forces that have shaped Earth for billions of years.
So, this new chapter, it's got a name. It was first introduced back in 2002, the Anthropocene, the age of humans. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Let's dive in.
At its core, it means we've officially moved out of the Holocene, that stable period of the last 12,000 years. We're not just living on the Earth anymore. We've become a primary force that is actively shaping its systems. We're kind of in the driver's seat now. So, when did this all start? Well, that's where it gets really interesting because there's a huge debate. Some say the Industrial Revolution, with the rise of fossil fuels. Others point to 1610 when there was this noticeable dip in CO2. A lot of folks point to the 1950s and what's called the Great Acceleration. And then there's the bomb spike of 1964, when atomic testing left this permanent, unmistakable radioactive signature all over the globe. The fact that we can even have this debate just shows how our influence has been ramping up for centuries.
To really get a grip on our power now, we've got to go back. We need to look at our origin story, at the discovery of our very first superpowers.
Our first power-up? Fire. Over 1 million years ago, we harnessed it. This was our oldest and most powerful tool. It let us clear land, cook food, and for the first time, begin to actively reshape ecosystems, even if it was just on a local level.
Then, about 10,000 years ago, we leveled up again in a massive way, the agricultural revolution. Suddenly, we could command life itself. We started domesticating plants and animals, and that completely changed our relationship with the planet. This wasn't just about growing food. It was about redesigning the very surface of the Earth.
And this chart, wow, this shows you exactly what happened next. Agriculture allowed our population density to skyrocket. We're talking an increase of at least 500 times. That laid the foundation for everything that came next: settlements, cities, civilizations.
And that growth? It got another massive boost when we formed an alliance with domesticated animals. This partnership gave us abilities that went way beyond just having a source of food. This was a total game changer. Suddenly, we had animal power to pull plows. We had wheeled carts for transport. We had new materials like wool for trade and new foods like milk and cheese. Our animal allies became our partners in reshaping the world. So, for thousands of years, our power grew, steadily. But after 1945, everything changed. We entered a period called the Great Acceleration.
This is the moment when humanity's impact went from big to exponential. It's when our power levels just went completely off the charts. Seriously, the next few numbers are absolutely staggering.
In just 65 years, the number of people on this planet nearly tripled. We went from 2.5 billion to over 7.3 billion. Think about that. More people, more demand, and a vastly bigger footprint. And to power all that growth, our consumption of oil, the lifeblood of the modern world, it shot up by over 9 times. That was the fuel that powered this whole thing. And check this out. The number of cars made every single year multiplied by more than 11. This one little fact is the perfect symbol for the explosion in production, in consumption, and in global mobility that defined this whole era. But here it is. This is the big one. This chart shows that humanity used more energy in the 20th century than in all of preceding human history combined. Let me just say that again. More energy in those 100 years than in the 10,000 years before it. The scale of that shift is almost impossible to wrap your head around. So, all this acceleration, it transformed us. We went from a species that made local changes to a truly global force, one that affects the entire planet's systems. And now we have to think about our impact in 2 different ways. There's systemic change, where we directly mess with a global system, like the atmosphere, and then there's cumulative change, where millions of our local actions, like cutting down trees, all add up to a massive global impact. It's like the difference between changing the planet's entire operating system versus changing millions of individual pixels that, together, alter the whole picture. This has led to a whole new way of seeing our world called Earth system science. The key idea here is that humans aren't some external force acting on the planet. No, we are now an internal part of the Earth's fundamental operating system. Our actions are inputs that are literally redefining how the whole system works. And this growing awareness, this realization of our own power,
It's brought us to a critical turning point. Some are calling it Stage 3 of the Anthropocene.
So the great debate we're having right now is, what comes next? Will this be a good Anthropocene, an era of hope and responsible management? Or are we heading for a bad Anthropocene, an age of disaster? That is the question.
It comes down to this. We now possess the power of gods. We can shape the planet. The question for all of us is, what will we do with it? The choice between stewardship and catastrophe is ours to make. The briefing is concluded.